This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Sunset Safari here in Djuma in the Sabi Sands, where we have found a very small but cute herd of elephants that have been moving from little bits of shade to little bits of shade, feeding. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Senzo Mkize on camera, and it is a lovely 33 degrees Celsius, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. A wonderful day out in the African wilderness. We'd love to hear from you. Send your questions, hashtag SafariLive, or drop them in on the YouTube chat stream, and make sure you put the all-important @EPSI, keeping your questions relevant, and you might hear your name on TV. Here we go. Let's go back to our Ellies, shall we, Sens? They are moving from the shady spots to the shady spots, feeding on all the luscious grass that likes to grow in the shade. A very small little youngster that was behind this one. It's with mum at the back there at the moment, using her as some shade right now. But there's a very good chance that this is sort of successive years of breeding for the one female. Big female, you can just see her in the back there. This is the older of her offspring. And then there's another one, and the really small baby. So it's not uncommon to find small breeding herds like this in times of abundance. They spread out because of the food across the landscape, but they can also accumulate into much larger sort of family units, whereby sisters and grannies come together with their extended families. It's often found around watering holes, where a social hub of activity takes place, where youngsters that were maybe born earlier in the year get introduced to cousins and the like. Tom, this is indeed a magical way to start the drive. Let's see if we can show you the little baby. It's going to pop into screen in 1 second. Here's mum. And where's the little one? He's coming. It's standing in the open. I'm going to move, see if we can get you a better view of these Ellies. She's quite relaxed. She was giving us a little bit of an evil eye there, just going, okay, I'll see where you are. Don't come any closer. Just going to park in the shade over here, because it is rather warm. And there you can see the baby. He's trying his lot at feeding. And when you don't know how to use your trunk, then you just stick the entire plant into your mouth. Sorry about my breaks there. You stick the entire plant into your mouth, and that is how young elephants, start eating their first vegetation meals. There we go. It's trying to use its trunk. It's getting it to its mouth, but it doesn't quite know how to grab onto anything just yet. And the legs also don't. Oh, what was it? What was that? Something kicked it from behind. It was I think it might have got a thorn in the bottom. There is one of the flaky bark thorns. I think it might have poked him in the bottom, and he got a bit of a fright. Now he's looking, or she's looking, and going, what was that? Tail is up. Very aggressive elephant right there, showing the behavior of an aggressive elephant. Do you see the tail? Smelling all sorts of things on the floor. It's a very important stage, in the first few years, elephants are learning what mum is eating. They'll pick up any debris she might drop on the floor, and they'll learn that smell, and they'll know that that's edible. Yes, everyone. Oh, and so cute. Here we go. Let's see if it's pushing it over. This is fierce, people. This fierce elephant pushing over the tree. Come on. It's trying to get his trunk around, but doesn't quite know what to do with it. There we go. Oh, use my head. Push. Oh. You're watching an ecosystem engineer in the making, folks. And starting with the biggest tree on the African plains. If it pushes that one over, it's going to change the shade dynamic in that area forever. It's important techniques that it's learning. It's obviously not needing to eat any sticks or leaves or grass at the moment. It's getting all its food from mum, but there we go. Stick is in the mouth. Oh, okay, how do I do this? Oh, RS says, you are cheering for the little one. It can do it. It just managed to grab a very small leaf there. I wonder if it knows what it was grabbing. It almost looked like it was a bit of a guarri that it caught. I'm not quite sure. There we go. Catch up with Mum. Mum's 20 meters away. Oopsie. Scratching its feet. Sorry, I don't quite know what this elephant's doing. It's going to catch up with Mum now. Watch, it's going to come. There we go, Mum. This is a termite mound. Oh. Okay, well, we're going to stay at these ellies for a little while, and it seems like Trishala has managed to find some elephant cuteness of her own.
Good afternoon, everybody. So nice to have you on board. As always, I'm Trishala, and I have BK on camera with me. And we have a wonderful herd of ellies. Now, I love how I speak about it. Look back and it's vanished. No, they've all moved off to the left. Baby ellies are just the most adorable things. We just had one earlier in the middle of the road. I kind of had to stop here because they were so close to us, and I didn't want to give them a fright and zoom past them on the road. But they're having a nice little bit of a feed, and this baby ellie was utterly cute. It picked up a little bit of vegetation, swung it around, and then dropped it on the floor by mistake, just as it was about to put it in its mouth. They all seem to be moving quite quickly. Now, this morning we had a herd that was being pursued by some very amorous bulls. There we go. And they seem to be quite scared, and they were off in quite a hurry. And so is this herd. They seem to be off in quite a hurry. So I wonder if it is actually the same one. I did see them around here, but the last time when we left them, they were kind of basically running in that direction ahead of us here. So if it is the same herd, everyone looks pretty calm now. The bulls must have moved off. Everyone's just having a good feed. Now there's two tiny little youngsters in here, and I hope we can get a better view of them. So I'm going to move down just a little bit. It's quite a big herd. It is a breeding herd, just as the same as the one Steve just had. So it's pretty much a female, a matriarch with their children. Cool. So let's keep a keen eye on these elephants and try to catch up with them. In the meantime, let's go over to Isaac in the Masai Mara.
Yes, so welcome to the Masai Mara. A very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to SafariLive, straight and direct from the Masai Mara. Here we are. Once again, it's a beautiful afternoon. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Achi. And we welcome you to this afternoon game drive. I hope it's going to be wonderful. I hope you're ready. And to start with, I think we have found you some nice, where they call it a journey of giraffe. They're quite a distance away, but I hope you're going to appreciate when we find a track to get us there. We will take you closer so you can have a look. And these are two big males. I can tell because they have a belly button, and sometimes that's the only way to tell from a distance. Also, they have that third knob growing on their forehead, which, is distinct in males. These guys here are feeding in very low shrubs. Unlike most giraffes, they would prefer to put their necks up. Giraffe is quite a unique animal, equipped with a very big heart, almost around 12 kilograms. And the main reason Shelley, thank you for appreciating the Mara. It is a beautiful and a stunning place. Hope you'll get some time to come here. I was just going to tell you a little bit about a giraffe heart. It is about 12 kilos in weight, and the reason it is that big, actually it's 12 kilos and about almost 2 feet in diameter. So it is a very big, part of a giraffe body, and it's capable of pumping the blood all the way to the head, and that is the main reason. Unlike our heart that pumps about 72 beats per minute, a giraffe will beat up to 3 times per second. So that is a very rapid beat. Rosalind, thank you for your question. You asked me what predators prey on giraffes. Mainly, the predominant prey is lion, but young ones are food to leopards and wild dogs and hyenas. So those are the main predators of giraffe. Yes, just to finish with the heart, it is a super machine for the giraffe, able to pump the blood all the way to the brain, and so that the brain does a stuff of blood, and that's the reason it's so big. Also, it is built in with some amazing valves in their neck, such that when they bend down, they don't overflow, the brain with too much blood, so it reduces, and so the constant of flow of blood to the brain is the same all the time. Another fact about giraffes' legs is that they have very thick skin, and the main reason is to protect the flow of blood down, because with that kind of body blood pressure, they could explode with too much blood flowing to the legs, and so that thick skin and very few veins protect the giraffe legs. Amazing, Yes, it's amazing, our structure or build. Okay, while I try to get close, let me take you to Steve, who's got some elephants.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, this little youngster has moved with Mum, and they've finally managed to get out of the long grass that was, I think, giving the little one a little bit of annoyance. The grass was taller than its head, and we saw just before he left us that it was trying to scratch itself. Now it's managed to pick up a stolon of a grass. That is the grass that grows along the ground, putting roots down, sort of above ground surface grower. It's trying to pick it up and put it in its mouth. Let's see how successful it is. You've seen it grab a couple pieces of grass, but then miss the mouth completely. But this is important tricks, important techniques. Okay, there we go. Mum's put herself between us in it again. Tail is relaxed, though, as she moves off with the herd. Very small family unit. Such a good mum. Oh, excuse you, madam. Also full of gas. You probably heard some gas there. That was the sound of a hindgut fermenter. The Romit I have, actually. I've had herds a few times in my life charge, but most of the time it's not generally a real charge. It's just a warning charge, and so it all depends on what you're doing. I've had them charge on foot and in the vehicle, and it is quite an experience, I must tell you that. But you don't ever want to encourage them to charge you, but elephants, when they hear a vehicle from a distance, generally react to it or don't. There's no surprises with these sort of loud vehicles. Something we've been talking about the last few days, because there's a lodge on the property these days that's got these electric vehicles, and they are very quiet. They are almost scarily quiet how they approach, and I've got a thought that they might actually surprise the elephants, because that's what you don't ever want to do, is surprise a breeding herd. You want the herd to know that you're there so that they can make a decision. We used to do some bike trails in the Kruger National Park with mountain bikes, and the scary thing is you would come around a corner and you'd be in the middle of a herd of elephants without them knowing you're there and without you knowing they're there. And the problem is that the animal has to react, and the distance between you and them at that point is very, very close. So ideally, not the best. Well, we're just going to get around here, see if we can get another view of these guys. Well, they've moved into the shade again. seems to be what they're doing, moving from one shady spot to the next. And the little youngster is giving us an absolutely fantastic show this afternoon. Okay, well, we're just going to reposition, get you in a prime viewing spot. And while we do that, let's go back over to Trish, who once again is still with her elephants.
Yes, Ellies are the most gorgeous things. Now, this huge herd, I seemed to be in their way, and I kept such a distance between me and them because I felt that there were a lot of them, there were babies around, so I wanted to keep a good distance. But they kind of walked straight towards us. Now, there's always the danger, of course, like Steve was telling you, of course, being charged by the elephant. Now, let's just hang on. We'll discuss that just now. Laura says, we are so lucky. We absolutely are. This is just amazing. We have all these elephants here, and they're all walking through in this lovely thicket. It's a tamburti thicket. And they're all just kind of dust bathing themselves after they've just gone and had a bit of a drink. And you can see the color on them. They're dark now, half dark Ellies, but they are absolutely beautiful. Now, I said we'll just hang on with the charging conversation just because I wanted to have a look at these little two little ones here. And there's some huge females here. This one right in front of us is quite a big lady. Oh no. What are you doing? Are you playing? Can you see what the little one's actually trying to do? Is trying to grab the tail of the slightly older one. And they'll play like that often. Oh, hello. It's okay. It's okay. Everything is okay. Hello. It's okay. They like to be talked to sometimes. Hey. It's okay, girl. She's cleaning the inside of her ears, which is just the most adorable thing. A lot of the time, elephants take their cue from you. And if you are fine and happy and you want to be sweet and lovely to them, then they're the same to you. Puma says, what a cheeky elephant. Absolutely. You'll find that the young elephants tend to be this way. They tend to be full of bravado. And I usually take my cue from the older ones, as they're the ones that give more of an indication of their behavior than the young ones that just want to prove how big and strong they are. And that I'm bigger than a year now, so I've got little bits of tusks and I'm going to damage your car. And then all you have to do is look at them and then get a fright and walk away. This is absolutely precious. Hey, you beautiful thing. Can you see this female in front of us, the big female? Her trunk pretty much touches the ground. And I don't want to raise my voice much louder than this because they are pretty close. I don't want to spook them at all. So I'm just talking in nice, soft tones and letting them know that I am their friend, and so are we. We are all their friends, and we want to bring the beauty of you guys to the world. Yes. Oh, you're so big and strong. I have a feeling this is the herd that I saw earlier. Let's just listen to them for a bit. Hear the leaves, the sand, the swishing of the tail. Oh, it's just such a wonderful sighting. There's not much to say, really. Just take it in. there comes little one. Now look how many there are. It's absolutely stunning, of all ages. Just beautiful. Stunning. Anyway, it seems to be elephant day today. I started off the morning, we had elephants. Now I've got a huge herd of elephants. And I believe somebody else has a huge herd of elephants for you too. So let's go over to the Masai Mara.
Yes, well, thank you, Trish. It is indeed Elephant Day. And this individual that you see in the frame had a bit of a toilet stop. It dropped its dung on the floor. And the little one, the baby, walked up and was giving it a proper little sniff, which is quite interesting. It's not uncommon for young animals, especially elephants, to actually feed on some dung in the beginning stages to give them the digestive sort of enzymes and microorganisms necessary for their belly. A term called coprophagy, the eating of dung, to add into sort of the digestion that the animals will need at a later stage in their life. But for now, the youngster's primarily feeding on milk from mum, but the little one is just hidden behind the bush here. It's coming out now, Sens. There it comes. It's just hiding away. There we go. It's going to go stand in mum's shadow because mum is a very, very good umbrella. It's time for some milk, mum. I've never noticed an elephant sneezing. I've most certainly heard them snoring. And we had one. Why are they moving off now? Where are you going, guys? I don't know where they're going to. I've never heard them sneeze. I've had them snore. I've had elephants sleeping right next to my tent once before, and they snored all night long. I actually thought it was one of the guys who worked with me, but it was elephant. Yeah, they're coming around here. You'll get them coming in the open. It's amazing the communication that they have. Like something happens, we didn't hear it, and they all start moving. They all know it. Something mum has said, come on, children, let's go. And one by one, they file off. Okay, well, we'll see if we can reposition here and get another view of them, because the little baby is just so much fun this afternoon. And I love spending time with elephants. So if you don't mind, everybody, we'll see if we can get them in another shot. They just moved to the next shady patch up ahead here. So that seems to be what they're doing. They're moving from one shady spot to the next. And now we'll actually get a nice view of them at this next marula. Interestingly, that they haven't been picking up marula fruits. They've been feeding on creepers and leaves and all sorts of grasses. They are quite relaxed. Just get in front of them here. Hello, elephants. Beautiful, beautiful family. You are gorgeous. There's a little youngster at the back learning the tricks of the trade from the others. Of course, the others have already learned how to feed, learned how to access what they need. And mum being the leader of them all. You see how they're almost in unison with the flapping of their ears. Or they were. Now, obviously, mum cools down a lot slower than the others, but then she also heats up slower. So the younger ones require a lot more cooling, but then also a lot more energy to keep them warm. That's why when an elephant, especially a youngster, is cool, you'll see them plaster their ears to the side of their head. Just nudged along by a little brother. Hello, mum. Oh, is she going to come say hello again? Hello, mum. It's okay. Look at the grass. Take care of the ear shapes. Well, look at it. It's running. Oh, you've got to look at that. High-speed chase here, folks. Take care. You want to know about the ear shape? Well, the ear shapes of the African elephant are definitely much different in shape to those of the Indian elephant, and they reckon that the shape or the size of an elephant's ear, both ears together, make up a third of the surface area of the elephant's body, which the back of the ear, you see in behind there, it's quite a thin membrane when they open, and the veins inside there are pumping anywhere between probably 6 and 9 liters of blood a minute through the ear, and that enables them to cool down. And then the top of the ear sort of just flaps over on the top to prevent any direct sunlight from going onto that soft skin. But you see, they're just going from one tree to the other. We're going to give them one more chance. Because it's not us that's making them move. They're just moving because that's what elephants do. They eat and move and eat and move. And there's probably a procession. They're probably slowly on their way somewhere to have a drink. Not that the youngster's thinking about that, because she's going to get milk. Whereas Mum's definitely got that in her mind. They're going to eat and move. A large amount of water is needed per day to sustain an elephant. There we go. There's a nice family photo, Sense. Nice family photo. Very important, the shade out in the African savanna allows for a number of mammal species to survive here when it's very hot. Without the shade, we would have to have many, many more adaptations. So we wouldn't have the same diversity that we have. Isn't that a wonderful family photo? Yes, he's going to learn. Is that one on the left going to learn to pull that branch out the way? Because that branch is doing something known as brush packing. And underneath the branch, all sorts of grass seeds will blow in. And it actually forms a nice sort of little growing bed for certain grasses. Here she comes again. It's okay, Mama. See, she's definitely aware of us, and she's letting us know she's here. But if she was really concerned, the baby would not be 4 or 5 meters from her. The baby would be right at her side. Whoopsie, catch up, Mum. Oh, that is just too precious. They're definitely on their way to go and drink, so maybe we'll follow them down to Vuyatela watering hole. Hello. They're probably going to head, and that's the direction they're headed to. So we might go and watch, because it's very special to spend time with Ellies around the water, as I know most of you yesterday with Steph and the last couple of days in the Chobe. The amount of elephants he saw in and around the water was something quite special. But let's go all the way up to the Masai Mara, who Isaac has got a Masai giraffe.
Welcome back. It is always interesting to see elephants interacting. Yeah, so super. Still here with the tall one. That's what we call it in my tribe, you know. If you want to cut everything short, instead of saying giraffe, we say, have you seen the tall one? And here I have very, very many of them. A mix of males and females. This is what we call the Maasai giraffe. And it's the tallest animal over here. And over here you can tell it's got a few oxpeckers on its back. It's a symbiotic relation where those little guy cleans it of mites. That female to the right, she's carrying a baby, maybe about 11 months, another 3 months to go. They carry it for about 14. It looks very, very big. And giraffe baths are one of the most interesting that I've ever seen when they give birth, because they don't lie down. The little guy just appears and, you know, usually looks dead. Jennifer, thank you for your question. Quite interesting. You asked me, you know, do the older ones become darker with age, and especially females? Thank you for your question. It is different, very much like us. Some of them get darker, some of them get lighter. But I have noticed with my days here in the bush that it is more prevalent in males. Most males become very, very dark as they age. Not as much as in females, but there is a few here and there that get dark or light as they age. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for your question. And I was talking about, you know, the little ones, when they come out, they usually look dead. And then when they hit the ground is when you start seeing movement. I've seen about 3 births in my life, and it is rather very interesting. This is where difficulty comes with that long neck. You can see how it's bent down. It is not very comfortable. There is a lot of weight, and also it looks shorter. You know, the shoulder blades are too way forward, so they don't fold properly. David, you ask if it's food consumption or genetic that makes them big. I would say it is both. It's a natural build that they have, and it is a gene that they are meant to be that way, big for their size, and I don't think they would be smaller. We'd be saying they are smaller. It's just a natural way that they were created. I hope I've satisfied your question. And here, they're quite a good number. And just on a better note, so that you are in the same book as I am, giraffe was declared as one of the endangered species in the world about 3 days ago, so that you know. And their main threat is habitat loss and poaching. Mostly they are caught by snares. When I say a snare, is a trap made of a wire, a very strong wire, which is usually not meant for them, but they end up being caught and they die. So it has been declared by CITES as an endangered species. So if you know of people who are cutting trees close to you and we have giraffes, help them, find them an alternative way so that we can save these animals. Vag, you asked me if there's anywhere I could show you a giraffe footprint. I wish I could do, but over here, some areas like here, it's very swampy and I'm not allowed to drive off-road because it will destroy the grass. At the same time, the soil is not as good. Maybe I could draw it to you, but I don't have somewhere to draw it. I don't know if my windscreen is dirty enough. I could put it up and draw it to you. I don't know if you might see it. No, it won't be visible. But it does look like it is very much like a cow. It's that long and then divided. It's elongated, very much like a buffalo or a cow. So it's an even-toed ungulate, but elongated. Maybe one of the days when I see one and there's a place with good soil that they've walked, I'll be able to show you. But over here, it's very swampy, and also the soils are not very good. So yeah, more about giraffe. They have amazing eyesight, so they can see long distances. And a collection of giraffes is called a journey, or a tower of giraffes. And here we have a very good tower of about 22 of them. I have counted them before. Remember, this is coming to you live and direct from the beautiful Masai Mara. Engage me in questions, hashtag SafariLive. Is it Bravina? What is the gestation period of a giraffe? It is 14 months, rather very long. Remember, I told you that one was about 11 months, so it's going to another 2 months, 3 months before it gives birth. Just to go back to about the hoof, I have managed to get it on the phone. My secretary, who is also my cameraman, Archie, very good Archie, he has decided to Google it, and so we can share with you how it looks. I don't know if you can see that. This is the hoof of a giraffe. You see, very elongated. Yeah, it's about 180 millimeters. So it's around 180 centimeters. It's 18 centimeters. So it is very, very long, and this is quite uneven, as you can see. Sometimes they are very, 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 very even. Yes. So that is the hoof of a giraffe. I hope you're still watching. That's how it looks. So, while, we leave this place and leave these beautiful creatures, let's take you to Steve. I think he's got some, he's got some elephants. Asante sana.
Indeed. Well, it's an elephant afternoon down here in Djuma, and these elephants are moving as before from shady spot to shady spot without too much feeding at the moment now. And I've got a very strong feeling that they're definitely on their way to water. We just got to ascertain whether it's going to be Vuetela Pan or whether they're going to go to one of those rain-fed puddles such as Chelapan, which is further down. But the youngster now seems like it needs to want to get some milk there. But Mum's not stopping long enough for it to do so. But judging by the angle and the direction, we'll see if they're going to head a little bit more to the left. She knows where she's going. These routes to water are imprinted on these adults. And the youngsters learn those routes through their life until they become the matriarchs themselves. Isn't that the sort of the iconic African sort of symbol there of an elephant with a baby elephant and walking away with their big bottoms in the sunlight? Mohammed, these are actually called savanna elephants. The forest elephant is slightly different. I've never seen a forest elephant before. I don't really know too much about the difference, but I think it's mainly to do with size and maybe even the ear shape. But I think the forest elephant and the savanna elephant were once very similar. Some stayed in the forest where vegetation is quite different, and the African elephant or the savanna elephant went out onto the plains and they got a bit bigger. There we go. They've stopped for something clearly very tasty in the grass there. And the youngster is obviously going, okay, there's some wildflowers. Mum's picking these. Let me have a look and a smell so I know what they are next season. And the youngster to the far left is learning as well what is awesome to eat and what isn't. And it's almost like they're talking to each other. Here, see, children, this is what you do. You pull it out of the ground. Then you hit it against your body like this to get rid of the sand. Oh, like how, Mum? How? Yes, like that. That one there, yep. The baby is sticking its trunk in the other one's mouth, trying to steal them. Luke McDonald, if any of you remember Luke, he was director here for a little while. Luke, we miss you, man. Camp is not that boring, really. The camp is much smaller than it used to be, but it's not. We're not having parties all the time, if that's the answer to your question. But we do miss your company, Lukey. We do miss your company, but well, let's go back to the elephant, shall we? Luke, I'm glad to hear you watching the show. You are always most welcome to come back and spend some time here with us. The fitness regime is on the up and up, so sprints around quarantine are an every second day occurrence. So please come and join us again, my friend. You would be most welcome here. Very peaceful watching elephants feed. It's wonderful to be able to spend time in the life of these giants. So to dispel any myth out there for those new viewers, the flapping ears in elephants do not indicate aggression. They are cooling down. Ben, you could watch elephants feed all day. Well, so could I. And that's pretty much all they do all day. But the thing about elephants, what you notice is that they're always busy. Always doing something. Even if it's just feeding, there's still things going on, you know. Like when we went on air for a moment, the really small youngster was pushing and shoving the one on the right and was trying to steal the food out of its mouth. It was very cute to see. Oh, look at that. I picked up a huge amount. Elephants are quite enjoying the forbs and the wildflowers at the moment. And the one on the right there seems to be picking up that forb on the ground, the large leaf devil thorn, which is a very soapy-like plant. I can't imagine trying to eat it. It's very sort of soapy, very sort of viscous when you add a bit of moisture to it. So it must be quite interesting to digest or to at least get it past the teeth in the mouth. Okay, well, they've slowed down their feeding. Out here in the open areas of quarantine, there are far more sort of forbs, perennial or sort of say annual and perennial forbs than there were in the area we first found them. That area was full of grasses. And now this area a little bit more disturbed. You generally have lots of impala and wildebeest out in these plains, and it leads to a little bit more disturbance and overgrazing, and there's a high abundance of flowers out here. Okay, so a lot of you are wondering if the really small one is a girl or a boy, and at the moment I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you for sure is that the two other ones are definitely males, but the one that's the smallest I haven't yet noticed. But we'll spend a little bit more time with them because we can, and well, hopefully they're going to go and drink, and maybe we'll get the youngster having a little bit of a swim to cool himself down. Should we continue, Sense? Very good. Oh, maybe we could get this bird if he stops flying. Yes, we will. A paradise wider, ladies and gentlemen, has just stopped on the branch over here while we catch up with our Ellies. You see him here, Sense? It's just next to the dove over here. Paradise wider with a very long tail. There we go. Now, this is a polygynous bird that gets the long tail to attract the ladies. He's doing his display. There he goes. He's showing the ladies how well he can fly. It's called the handicap hypothesis. If he can fly with such a long tail, then he must be strong, he must be fit, and he must be able to obviously survive. And so the ladies will pick him as the sort of the sperm for their eggs, the fertilizing agent. Because if you're able to survive any predators looking like that, being extremely sort of handicapped, well, then there is something very special about you. Here he goes, struggling very hard with those wings to fly with that very, very long tail. Okay, well, as it flies off, a great camera work there, Senzo. Is he going to come back and land? Wow, now that's a huge amount of effort. I can't even see him anymore. Huge amount of effort. Off he goes into the clouds. Well, while we move on and see if these Ellies do in fact go and drink, let's go back up to Trish and see what she's going to get up to after her Ellies.
I have a warthog. And they were in front of us and they decided to scurry away as soon as we went live. I think they're all protesting. Not enough pay. Gone. Very sweet though, still. It's always entertaining the way they kind of... It's such a natural reflex to have that tail go straight up as soon as they flee. I think it's so sweet. So we were talking about the elephants and talking about charging and all of that. I haven't been properly charged by an elephant, but I suppose that's a good thing. I've been mock charged a few times. But I find with elephants the best thing is to respect their space and to rather be cautious than to be overly brave. Because it is their space and they are humongous compared to you. So you've got to respect that and you've got to be good around them. And they will be good to you. And that's generally how I approach them. And then different situations can make it better or worse. If you have a male that's heavily in muss, then he's a bit less controllable because they have all this testosterone coursing through them. Then, of course, if you have a breeding herd and you have a mum that's maybe a first-time mum and she's got her little calf, then it's a bit more dangerous because she doesn't want to make her calf feel in danger at all. And there's more babies. We've got some Egyptian geese goslings here. Stunning. Always cute. They've gone quite big. I remember when they were just a ball of fluff. Very sweet. Just kind of cruising about. And they have the watering hole all to themselves. Bet says she can't stand how cute they are. Well, Beth, call someone in to give you CPR. Because they are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Can you imagine holding one? They'd just be a ball of fluff. It's cool to see how their heads and beaks seem quite big, and it's as if it develops faster or develops first, maybe, than the rest of the body, which still looks very gosling-like. Very, very sweet. Paula says they still look so small. They do. They still look like little bundles of wool. I love their reflection on the water. It almost looks like a heart. Aww. Too late, guys. Valentine's Day was last week. Ooh, it actually looks like a scorpion a little bit. Oop. With the mirror image of it. Very cool. The sun is setting just a bit, so the temperature is a bit lower, and I think that, well, BK and I are definitely benefiting from it. It probably still is a steamy 33 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Very hot. Isaac would like to know if there's crocs in this water. They are not. The only big reptile in this water is the water monitor. I'm trying to see if I can see him anywhere. But there is a resident water monitor here. I see him here often. But I don't see him here now. No, in general, this particular watering hole doesn't usually have crocodiles in it. As you can, if you look at the banks of the actual watering hole, you can see where it ought to be compared to where it is. And ordinarily this is quite dry, so it's not really a permanent water hole as what a crocodile would need and like, and it is quite shallow, so it's not the ideal conditions for a crocodile. You can hear the lapwings. I think I can hear a bearded woodpecker as well. Or I did just now. There we go. Very, very cute. I'm going to proceed. It's always nice to check the watering holes, especially on a hot day like this. But we have had quite a bit of rain, and when it comes to rain, we often have too many branches. When there's a lot of rain, then the water is dispersed, so you can't really rely too much on the watering holes because there's little bits of water everywhere. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to do the northeastern section of the reserve, and while I move out and do that, let's go back to Steve with those lovely Ellies.
Thanks, Trish. Well, we're still with the herd, the little family, and the little one is in fact a girl. And I made a mistake. The other one there that's just approached Mum also appears to be a girl, but the bigger one is definitely a boy, and that I'm 100% certain of. He had 5 legs a moment ago. So the direction they're going to go straight through that block, and that block will take them towards Chelapan, or at least towards the pan system that is down on the road just below there called Ingwe Alley. There's a number of pans down the road, and so the angle she's going is nowhere near Chelapan itself, but possibly that pan will take us straight to Chelapan if she crosses Ingwe Alley itself. So maybe there'll be a mudwaller involved. Maybe there will be a drinking at some stage. Minamu, that's a great question. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they do definitely start with milk teeth and then they lose them and are replaced by normal teeth as they get older. But whether they go through any teething sort of issues is hard to say. But there is plenty of medicinal value in the vegetation. For example, chewing on the bark of the sickle bush is able to eliminate toothache. So whether that works for teething is very hard to ascertain. But I reckon teething is probably a reality in most species. It's just we're the only ones who really talk about it. We can't really pick up the emotion on the animals when they're going through certain stages in their life. So very hard to say, really. Well, here the young boy is really taking it slow behind the herd. And they are slowly moving through. And a good chance that they are going to stop at one of those mud wallows. But also there's a bit of shade in the block. We're not going to follow them through there, but we might go through on the other side. And hopefully they come to one of those mud wallows and then we get to see them playing in the mud. The funniest thing when you see a young elephant go to the water, because they can't use their trunk to drink. So they have to stick their face inside. Q-Chick, I know that Trish is following up, or I think she was headed to follow up on that mating pair, and there was another vehicle early on that was talking about following up on them. I don't know where they are. They weren't seen this morning. The two other males were most certainly 2 days ago up in the north, and they were right on our western boundary, the mating pair, so who knows if they've crossed or not. We're just going to have to wait and see what the other vehicle and Trish turn up with. But those of you who were on the show with me yesterday will remember the tracks of the elephants. Oh, it's not a very good one. The baby didn't walk very nicely here. It dragged its feet. Here is the little baby elephant's foot. Isn't that just precious? Isn't that precious? That's tiny. Very, very cute as he followed Mum across the road. And they do get smaller. They do get smaller than that. But a very interesting topic. I want to talk about it. I want everybody's opinion and see if they've seen it before. On the tree here, and a couple of the marulas in the open. Herbie touched on it yesterday, but I didn't get the most understanding out of it. They've gone and put these tins onto the really big marula trees on quarantine itself. And some reason, somehow, these tins attached to the tree are meant to prevent the elephants pushing them over. I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to find out more about the subject. I didn't get the most comprehensive answer, so I'll find out more to find out exactly what's going on with that, because there's a number of them already that we saw yesterday, and it's definitely not something I've seen before. So there's all sorts of ways and means and thoughts behind elephants preventing them from damaging trees, and this to me is a first. But if it works, it works. We need to write out a scientific paper to show the world and all the other people in the Kruger exactly what these elephants are doing. Hello, James, Richard. The marula beer, while we just frame this guy here, the marula beer I made last week. Senzo wants to stay on my face for this one. I made last week Thursday, and I had it in my bathroom, and it is still brewing. One of the ladies who works with us, Mama Z, she's an expert brewer of marula beer, and she's been checking on it daily and kept telling me it's not ready, but I'm going to try some tonight. Apparently it's supposed to be fizzing and bubbling, and it hasn't been, because it hasn't been that warm. The first marula beers I saw made years ago, people would put them in the sun. I haven't done that because that speeds up the process. So I've got a nice sort of mature brew going at the moment, and I do intend this evening of having at least 1 cup, or maybe I'll wait for tomorrow night, being Friday. It is Thursday today, so it's been a week, 7 days of brewing. There is an enormous sort of SCOBY on top of the marula beer, so a big sort of, what do you call it? What is a SCOBY? A bacteria layer of sort of fermentation that's happening on top of the marula beer. And I have a feeling it's going to be quite nice and tasty. We've got lots of ice to add from camp, and we might just have ourselves a little bit of a a get-together tomorrow night. I think that's a great idea. Well, it seems like these elephants have slowed down remarkably, so I don't see them arriving at the watering hole anytime soon. So we're going to move on, see what else we can find this afternoon. And while we do that, we're going to go all the way back up to the Masai Mara to our good friend Isaac and see exactly where he's headed.
Okay, welcome back to the beautiful Masai Mara, and I am here headed towards Sausage Republic. Yes, I did hear about Trish talking about she hasn't had an encounter with elephants. Well, Trish, don't wish for it. It's not the best experience. I've had one, and you wish you are not there, because it is very scary. Well, in guiding school, they give you a gun and they teach you how to use it. But they tell you that, don't shoot unless you're really forced to. And so, you can imagine when you're in that situation, you have a gun, but you can shoot, and the animal is charging. I've been in that situation, and it was rather very, very, very scary. I must admit that I had to change my pants after that. All in all, let me take you to where the sausages are, because we left them resting underneath a beautiful tree this morning, if you did join me, and I'm heading there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Sausage Tree Pride is a pride of lions that we follow, and they've been very good to us. We see them almost every other day, and it's a big pride, and we love them. They are not very far from where I am, so I'm hoping to follow them until it's dark and see where they go, because this morning when I saw them, they were not complete. There was about 3 cubs missing. Rocky, you're asking about the bat-eared foxes. Well, I must tell you that where their den is covered with grass. So no update yet, but we'll be updating you once the grass gets shorter. Right now it's very, very, very tall, the grass. So it's very hard for us to drive off-road to where they are. We're very sensitive to driving in the grass. So Rocky, don't you worry, we'll be showing you in the next coming months, because they don't move dens very much. They tend to stick to one area for, a bit of time. So we're hoping that, we can show you in the near future. Well, I was talking about, the sausages and following them. Complete. And so I'm hoping that I can follow them either this evening or tomorrow morning and see how many there are. Hopefully all of them are still alive. Mortality rate when they're very young is very high, and young ones can easily get lost in this long grass. And if the wind is blowing in the wrong direction, their mothers might not hear them, and they might continue walking in the wrong direction. And even if a warthog comes across them, it will kill them, python, jackal. So I'm hoping that, I can follow them and they can show us where the rest are, because I counted 2 of the small ones and 3 of the big ones only. So we are missing almost 5 cubs. Hopefully they're still alive. I can see the warden somewhere here, so it tells me they're not very far from here. The wardens are very important for us, because they stop and observe the behavior of people coming to see. Okay, I will tell you more about the warden later, but for now, let me take you to Steve, who's got a kudu, a very beautiful antelope.
Welcome back. We have found some magnificent specimens here. They have just moved off into the thicket, so I'm just going to pop my nose off the road here. See if we can... There we go. There he is. He got him, Sense. Just letting Aubrey and them know about that small group of elephants. Yeah, so Oops, that herd's just mobile, sort of between Fullerman's Dip and Wahlberg, sort of in that angle towards Ingwe Alley at the moment. Beautiful kudus. They're 3 male kudu. As we came down the road over the crest here, we saw the 3 boys. They were standing just in front on the road. Just make a little move on this fire break here. See if we can spot them again. There we go, in the gap, Sens. Beautiful boys. Senzo was saying, where have you been, guys? We haven't seen you in ages, and it has been a while since they were on the left. It has been a while since we've seen a big male kudu on the property. They, like the elephants, are enjoying the forbs that are bounding on the plains at the moment. Ellie, fantastic, aren't they? They are probably my favorite antelope, the kudu. Just, they're beautiful. The male kudus, there's just something about them. Obviously, the females are very pretty, but when you see a male with those just spiral horns on the head, there's something so magnificent about them. And the horns are incredibly heavy. I've picked up many kudu skulls before, and those horns require enormous neck muscles to be able to wield. He's got an oxpecker attached to him. And the beautiful stripes, that little bit of hair on the back, all designed to break up the outline of these kudus as they blend in with the background quite beautifully. 3 males, probably looking for some ladies, but it's not uncommon to find bachelor herds of males who then compete for the right to females, and then a male will keep a female group for quite a long period. Probably one of the most sensitive of the antelope species. If a male kudu is removed from the population, be it from predators or from hunting, it is an amazingly difficult sort of period, because not like impala or even nyala that seem to sort of, the impala seem to just go crazy. They go for whatever male is doing his thing at the time. But you have a potential by removing big dominant male kudu from slowing down the population, because the female kudus are quite picky. They want only the biggest and the best. And, well, if one big male kudu is removed, let me move back, Sens. If a big male kudu is removed from the population, it means that those ladies could go for months, even a year, without selectively choosing a mate, which will no doubt affect the population growth. So, beautiful. That's his standard. Stand very, very still, and they blend into the thickets. Enormous ears. David, they do have the coolest horns. The spiral-horned antelope, the Tragelaphus family, all the Tragelaphus being the eland, the bushbuck, the kudu, and the nyala, all have got spiraled horns, but none of them are as impressive as that of a kudu. And when you see kudus fight, it's really, really quite incredible, the power that they can put together with their heads smashing each other. And the oxpecker busy combing the ticks from the fur. Imagine we could do that with our ears, move one at a time. Ravinda, no, a male kudu is much bigger than Nyala bull. A Nyala bull gets to about 110 kilograms, so what's that, just over 200 pounds. And a kudu, if my maths is correct, is 250, so almost 500 pounds. So a male kudu is almost equivalent in size, or weight, should I say, to that of a big male lion. So they are much, much bigger. I'll just double check the weights there, though, for you quickly in my very nice book over here. There we go, the greater kudu, page 182. Just double check that number for you, because I haven't spoken about the weight of a male kudu in some time. You can hear the oxpeckers calling there. No, that's not it. I'm not looking for a bongo. I'm looking for a greater kudu. There we go. Okay, so 257 kilograms the males can get to. So that is a huge amount of weight. So that's over 500 pounds. It's a really, really big animal. So a lioness can bring down a kudu. They do have the ability, but they are able to jump a 12-foot fence quite easily, kudu. I've seen it happen from a standing position. And so if they want to evade predators, they can run very quickly and jump very far and high. And the female's a little bit smaller, though, only getting up to just over 300 pounds, 320 pounds or so. So a little bit more sort of in the range of a lion, a lioness anyway. But a big male kudu is definitely right up there with the difficult ones to catch for solitary animal. But anyway, talking about cats and talking about predators of the African wilderness, it seems like Isaac has managed to stumble across some felines.
Okay, welcome back everybody, and here we have come across the sausages, and unlike where we left them and this morning, they were trying to get comfortable, trying to find position they are in totally a different area. They have moved to rather a tree with a very thick shade, and all of them looks like they are digesting what they ate earlier. This is a wild gardenia tree. The way it is, it's a lot of topiary by giraffes. Giraffes are very fond of eating this gardenia angustifolia. I think the leaves are rich in fiber and maybe other vitamins, and that's why they love it. They never let it grow. That's why it's been trimmed like that. And the gardenia has evolved in a way where it grows to be to have very hard. It grows, it has grown to have very hard trees. Ted, thank you for your question. You ask if people eat giraffe meat. No, they are not allowed. And actually now I think the tables have turned. Now that it has been declared to be an endangered species, I think the governments are going to take tough measures for anybody caught poaching giraffe. So sorry, they don't eat it. And I think now if it's going to get even tougher. So I hope I've answered your question, Steve. Nobody eats giraffes. Okay, here we have the sausages, and those are the cubs. Those are the older cubs. Look at them, all trying to get milk. Beautiful. Yeah. Just maybe a few seconds of you guys to enjoy. Just watching without my voice. Romit, thank you, my friend. You ask, if there's any word about the Owinos or the Olololos. Yes, the Olololos, I was with them about 2 days ago. Maybe you missed them. I saw 10 of them. They were looking rather hungry and desperate. They were looking for something. They were heading towards a place we call the Marsh, and I haven't been there for quite a bit since then, so they are there, I think. And look at that, beautiful. Yes, and the Owinos, the last time I saw them was about 2 weeks. They were also hunting, and I haven't seen them. Right now we have the great disadvantage is the long grass. It's making our lives a little bit difficult, but don't you worry, when we see them we'll update you on their whereabouts. Romit, thank you, it's always a great pleasure to hear your name. That is one of the oldest cubs belonging to Limpy. Limpy, in case it's your first time to join us, is one of the members of the Sausage Tree Pride. This Sausage Tree Pride is a pride that we are very proud of because we can find them almost every other day. They are led by a very, powerful leader called Kinky Tail, and she is here. They are all in total 5 females and about 10 cubs in total. These are Métis cubs. They're supposed to be 4, but I see 3 maybe the rest are somewhere here. From where they were born, it is a long, long way. They have been moving quite a bit. Unlike, prides that I've known in the earlier years where, females will leave their cubs and then go back to suckle them, this pride is totally different. They move around with their cubs. It's, maybe somebody will correct me, my fellow guides, but it is something that I have seen with this pride. They move a lot, with their cubs. One female stays behind, and then, the rest will go ahead, and she would lead the cubs towards where the others are, which is unlike, most predators, most lions. You can tell that girl has got a lot of milk. So, these young guys have got lots and lots of milk, nothing to worry about. So as you can tell, that female had a lot of milk. Okay, let me take you to Trish, who's going to show you a beautiful flower.
Yes, I do have a flower. And I have a flower because somebody asked me about if I've seen any in bloom. I think it was James. It was a James. Definitely asked if I've seen any in bloom. Well, there you have it. So it is a baboon's tail or monkey's tail. Got these lovely wispy sort of leaves and these wonderful yellow flowers. I think it's also called a black stick lily, if I'm not mistaken. And of course the name comes from the area here that looks very much like a baboon's tail. When I told BK what it was, he was like, why on earth would somebody name it baboon's tail? But it does resemble a baboon's tail, so nonetheless. It's got these lovely white flowers. Not particularly floral, but it is a nice scent nonetheless. So there you go, James. One in flower for you. Very nice. Anyway, I just wanted to stop and show you because maybe you're still watching. Maybe you really wanted to see it. Well, there you go. Now, I am still making my way up north of the reserve. And we will hopefully find some really interesting things. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk to you about today's... Oh, see, James Richard, I remembered. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the question. And then when I saw it, I thought of you immediately. So there we go. I wanted to talk to you about today in history. And today was in 1918, the last Carolina parakeet died in captivity in the Cincinnati Zoo. And I wanted to bring that to your attention because it speaks a lot to our interference with this sort of thing. It speaks a lot to our hand in habitat degradation, habitat loss, which was basically the main reason that these parakeets actually went extinct. So something to think about, and that's fairly recent in our history, and there we have an extinct animal. It is thought that climate change didn't have much to do with it, but habitat destruction did. And things like, there was something about bees using their nests, people in the exotic pet trade, wanting them as pets, the use of feathers in fashion. It just highlights all those things and makes us think about how we care for animals. So I thought that was a cool little bit of information to share with you today and make us think a little bit. Diane says, what can we actually do to help conservation? It's actually a really tough question because so much of what we do we think is helping when in fact maybe it's not so much. And a lot of me understands that it's all part of a cycle. Things come, things go. That's just the way it is. But the rate at which it's happening and our hand in it is a bit scary. definitely, I think attitude. Attitude is a big one. And that's why I love what I get to do and what everyone else at SafariLive get to do and what you guys get to do. Because you're watching, it means that you're more aware, you're more sensitive to the animals in the world, and you get to see them firsthand. And I mean, if someone has not ever seen a lion or seen an elephant, but only know that they exist, what type of connection do they have with them? Not very much. I mean, you could be of the mindset that, oh no, we know it's bad to harm the animals, but do you really know about the types of food it needs to eat? A lot of the time people move animals from this place to this place and not realize that that animal doesn't actually eat that kind of grass. It eats a different kind of grass, but you think grass is grass, trees are trees. And that type of sensitivity or lack of sensitivity is a big problem. So we need to do proper research. We need to be aware, make awareness the number one priority. And also be a little bit more selfless. I think those are the big ones. Obviously, money has a lot to do with it. We need money in order to make sure that conservation can still survive. But I think it has a lot to do with attitude. A lot to do with attitude. If you have no money and you are here in Africa and you decide not to be involved in poaching or not to do something like that, that is a choice that comes from your awareness and your education. And that has nothing to do with money. So for me, that is the number one priority. Education and awareness. It does really make you think about these things. I got part of the name. I got Froggy Thorn, Froggy Fawn. Froggy Fawn. Either way, I love the name. Either way. But thank you. You said that you appreciate what we do and you... Faith's trying to give it to me again. It sounds the same, Faith. Froggy Fawn. Froggy Fawn. There we go. Thank you very much, and thank you viewers, because each and every single one of you that watch this become more aware and more educated so it's such a nice collective effort, and that's why what we do here is kind of special. Each one of you is special. Look at us feeling all warm and fuzzy inside. Well, we were talking about the wonderful things we can see and how fuzzy we can feel inside. So let's go back over to Isaac with some lovely lion cubs.
Okay, welcome back everybody. That is one of the females, and I think she's giving a young one, I think the 2-month-old ones, a chance to drink. You can tell, they have a lot of milk. Earlier on, you could tell the teats, they're full of milk. I think she's, that's very good. Thank you very much that, you've given us a chance so we can see. Who is this? This is, I think this is Mitty. Yes, it is Mitty. Yes, it is. That cut across the nose there tells me it's her, and she's got 4 young ones. Very healthy looking, and right now she's giving them a chance to drink. Yeah, I don't see them. They've spread out somewhere there. I think they've been drinking enough. It's time to catch up with the brother or sister, play a little bit. Okay, they're playing. You can tell. After maybe a good suckle. I can't tell you if they have started eating meat yet, because I haven't witnessed, but they should be able, or they should have started eating meat at around the age of 2 months. I'm actually the only one who could tell you if they've done that, or my colleague David, but none of us has witnessed them eating meat. They are still very much dependent on the mother's milk, and over here it is in plenty. All 4 females are lactating, so there is a lot of milk. It's a matter of choosing where to go. Like, see, those are older cubs, and they're also getting milk. As like I told you, it's a big, buffet for the young ones. Lots and lots of milk. And it is very important that they get this milk because it is essential. It is very rich, and they need it in the first few months. Penguin, you asked me how long the sausage tree has controlled this area. To be very frank and straight with you, is for me, I have known them for 1 year. I don't know how much longer, but for me, I have been following them for more than 1 year, and I can tell you 1 year is when I've known them. And by the looks, it looks like the cubs that are 5 months are their first litter, so it could be they are not more than 2 years. It just started here. It could have been a bigger pride somewhere, and they split and they came here. So for me, I have known them for 1 year, but it might be they have been here for 2 or 3 years, maybe maximum I would say 3 years, because when females split, sometimes they take a little bit, then yes, like I was saying, sometimes big prides split, and when they split, it might take maybe even a year for males to find them. So I understand that this was a bigger pride. They were part of the Owinos, and they split and they came here. So definitely it's not more than 2 years. Hope I have answered that question. What's happening there? Is she gonna sneeze? Look at her. Unlike most females that I know, these girls of the sausage tree pride are exceptionally huge. And I think that's where they get the courage to bring down buffalo. They are specialists in killing buffalo. That's why, they're this big, and I think they need the strength. Yeah, look at her. Remember, this is coming live and direct from the Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle. Yeah. Schmidt, thank you for your question. You asked me if young cubs suckled from the same teat every time. No. They move around, different teats, and sometimes actually they fight for the best teat. Just like, I think dogs and cats, if they know that teat produces milk, they will fight for that one. But I doubt it if the same one goes for the same teat. And they move around different females. That's why they are much more successful when more females are lactating, because cubs can move around and suckle from different females. Smith, I hope I answered your questions, and you can tell here that the young ones are moving from one diner to another. When I say diner, they are moving from one female to another, and for that one to be up like that, it is looking promising. Maybe in the next half hour, they might start moving. Carla, you asked me if that gardenia has flowers. At the moment, no, but they do produce white flowers that are very fragrant, very good smelling. If somebody was to invent a perfume that smells like these flowers, it would sell out. It smells really, really nice. Maybe someday when I see one, if you'd be watching, just ask me to smell one, and I'll try and describe it to you. But it is an amazing smell. Those smells that you want to smell every time. When I'm driving, sometimes it hits me, and I just feel like stopping a vehicle and smelling it because it's so nice. Yeah, that one female there is yawning. I don't know what's on her mind, but according to my animal behavior teachings, when they start yawning, it is a sign that they might start moving, and maybe they stashed out something that they would like to go and finish. It's a pity there's too much grass. We could have shown you those guys playing, but maybe before the end of the show we'll be able to show you when they're playing, and because they're actually quite amazing. Okay, I'm here. Let's learn about something else. Let me take you to Steve, who is in Duma in Greater Kruger.
Thank you, Isaac. Well, you are back with us, everybody. We've moved on from our kudu. We managed to find a beautiful female kudu, but she went into the thickets. So we're just doing a little bit of a water hole sort of route as well. Seeing if maybe we can pick up on any fresh leopard tracks. Nothing so far. But the clouds are most certainly moving in. And there's a very, very nice sort of cooling effect happening behind us, which is wonderful. It might mean that our predators might be up and moving earlier than normal. So we're just going to put a little bit of effort in to finding Kalamba. Those of you who were with us last night, we were at the hyena den, and on our way back from the hyena den, we found Kalamba just up the road here on Weaver's Nest. And she was moving around. I don't think she's going to go very far, but she's good. She was looking healthy. If anything, maybe just a little bit hungry. And yeah, so she's moved a little bit sort of south from her usual haunt around Hyena Road and Vulture's Nest, although the name Weaver's Nest sounds pretty similar to Vulture's Nest. We'll just have a little scratch around here, see if maybe we can find her. Maybe she's moving around now that it's getting a little bit cooler. Maybe she's thirsty. She's certainly hungry. Ravinda, we do indeed see honey badgers here. I've only seen one, but it was an incredible sighting I had last year. I stayed with that honey badger for 2.5 hours as it killed a monitor lizard and then dispatched it as we all watched the honey badger eat the monitor lizard head first, or should I say bottom jaw first. It was definitely not for sensitive viewers as the monitor lizard constantly moved, because the reptiles essentially don't sort of stop moving for a while. Their body parts are still sort of active, and it is quite disconcerting when you see an animal without a head still moving. Everyone was getting quite upset, but that animal was certainly dead. But it was an incredible sighting, and Sydney had a honey badger not so long ago catching a tortoise. It was also just, I think it was the end of last year, caught a tortoise, and it was ripping the tortoise out of the shell. James has had a couple honey badger sightings. And BK mentioned he had one. I'm not sure who he was with. He's one of the new cam-ops. But they're around. They come and go. We find a lot of their tracks. Honey badgers are definitely around. But when it's... And also, sorry, I had one that Jamie found with the thermal drone. So I lie. I've seen two here. Very cool. They are indeed my favorite animal. You find the tracks here of the bushwalk team that walks here this morning. This is a favorite area for Tingana. Judy, that's a great question. I mean, I had a little feel of the tin yesterday. It didn't seem like it had anything inside. Senza, do you think it had something? Senza thinks it had something. I didn't actually notice. It wasn't very obvious to me, and I didn't smell anything. And I must admit, my sense of smell is quite good. But I don't know. Maybe it's got sugar inside. And this has just come to me straight away. Maybe it's got sugar, some form of sugar, and attracts bees. And that will encourage the elephants to maybe leave the tree alone. Maybe. I have absolutely no idea. Definitely something to think about. But I will, on my way back later, I'll jump out and have a little sniff and see if there's anything inside worth sort of anything smelly. But it makes sense if you attracted bees to the tree, because as any normal Coke can or cool drink can attracts bees, elephants do not like bees. The sound of bees actually irritate them and cause them to move off. So that might actually be the safety mechanism behind it, which actually seems quite ingenious, in fact, if that is the case, because this is the time of year that the elephants really do damage the marulas, because they walk up to the tree and they push it. I think they don't realize that some of the marula trees are actually male and don't produce the fruit. Okay, well, we're going to continue on. Our next port to call is Twin Dams. We're going to go see what's going on over there. In the meantime, let's go back up to the Masai Mara with Isaac and the Sausage Tree Pride.
Right. That is the second female that is up. And I don't know, maybe in the near future, the scientists are going to discover that lions also communicate differently, because there's no vocal sound that has been made, but it just took one to stand up and start moving, and the other one, I'm sure, cannot see the other one, but all of a sudden that female is up and she's facing where the other one is going. You see now she's up and the other one is far to the left and the others are down. You see how far it is. The other one, it's down. I don't know what they see. So they are communicating. Are you still gonna go for something else? You ate last night. Looks, the body language tells me it's not about thinking of where to go. It looks like thinking of a different menu today. Tom, you asked me how long can a lioness produce milk after eating. Thank you for your question. Very interesting question. After a good meal, she will produce milk for about 3 days. She will produce milk for about 3 days, non-stop. But to continue producing, she'll need to eat. Very much like in humans or any other animals, the more they eat, the more milk they produce. Look at the little guy, how much he ate. Looks like he swallowed a soccer ball. These lionesses are in very good shape, and the reason they know how to take care of themselves. Yeah. Look at that. Those are the little guys. I think that one looks like a survivor. The little guy who made it for 5 days without eating in the first weeks when they were born. He looks like him. He's never caught up in weight and size with the others because he stayed for 5 days without eating. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, it's when they were born, we were lucky to follow them for about 3 weeks, and in the first about 2 weeks we only thought they were 3, only to notice another one after 5 days of witnessing them eating and drinking, just 3, and then one just popped from nowhere. And it's a miracle that he made it those days. So they're actually 4 of the same age. You asked me, what are the infections the young cubs get from this age? Actually, I don't know. Surprisingly, I never see sick lions. The only disease I have seen lions suffering from is FIV, feline immune virus, and another disease that affects, it's like tuberculosis, they start coughing. Those are the diseases that I've seen them, and also mange, which is a skin disease. But otherwise, the young ones, it's a miracle because, they survive, no disease. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. They are discussing something. You can tell that one is up. She's looking at the other one that disappeared. Yeah. Happy life. What a life. Yeah. Well, as much as we love them, and as much as everybody loves to see lions because they're a sign of courage and royalty, okay, let me take you to Trish, who's got Scuba Steve, our famous hippo.
Yes, we have arrived at Scuba Steve's home, and young Snorkel Sarah is here as well. She's just decided to dart into the kitchen. No, she's she's taken a dive, but she'll be out just now. Oh, that was a big huff. It's always nice to just check in on them, make sure all marital affairs are still in order. And of course, as we've all been wondering, if there's any babies around. But none yet. It's actually very, very quiet up here in the Buffelshoek watering hole today. You usually have all sorts of little things going on. Well, let's see what birds we have here. Can you see down here, BK? There's a cute little three-banded plover. Common resident here. Always see it around. Very sweet. Then Courtney would like to know if Scuba Steve and Snorkel Sarah have ever had babies. I don't know, to be honest, Courtney, but since they have been here in the Buffelshoek watering hole, certainly not. And if they had, that infant, or maybe now big child, would certainly be around still. So I don't think so, I must say. And certainly not since this pan has replenished. But we can always be hopeful. It'd be nice to see both of them out of water so we can have a good look. I love that the nose is just peeking out. There we go. Under. So I'm here on this side of the reserve, and it's always nice to check the watering hole. So I'm actually maybe even considering going to Chitwa, but the light is getting quite low. So maybe I'll race over there, see what's around, and then come back this side if there's nothing happening there. Scuba Steve. Hey, so cool. Yeah, so I'm going to head out to Chitwa. In the meantime, let's go back to the sausages with Isaac.
Okay, welcome back. Yeah, it's going to be interesting one day to see Scuba Steve. I hope I can live to see him. I only hear the name and see him on TV. Yeah, I was talking about, what the lions, resemble. It's a sign of royalty and courage, they say. And in Africa, it's portrayed as a sign of, kings. It's the ultimate animal that everybody wants to see when they come here. And I'm such a lucky guy to be able to see them and to, show them to you guys every day. I'm so happy that I have the privilege to do so. Well, although they are the king of beasts, this is an animal with a very difficult life. Just imagine everybody knowing that you are a danger and everybody trying to get away from you and hope that, you starve to death. So they have a very difficult life, and not only that, but they themselves kill one another for competition of food and territory and the best areas. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, the little guy, yeah. We always want to see, our children doing such things to us. So sweet. Yeah, that's Kinky Tail. Tweety tweet. Thank you for your question. You ask if lions would recognize each other even after splitting. Yes. And I have proof of that where, I know of two males that, actually two groups of males. There were four, then they split into two, and they came across each other sometimes later, I was waiting for a big scuffle, big fight. But actually, in the beginning, they looked like it was very promising that they would have a fight. But, they sniffed each other and never, fought. So I think, they do recognize each other. And I think it's very much a maternal instinct. It's something that, you will remember your cousin or your brother. You can never, fight him. So, yeah, they do remember each other. Yes, I was talking about these guys and their, difficult lives. You can't believe this, but I have seen a starving lion. It's starved to death. So their lives are very difficult. Once they reach the age of about 13, they become slow, and their canines, which are very useful, and they need them for hunting, wear down. So it becomes difficult to catch something and kill something. And these are very hard times because also the animals are much, much stronger. The little guy, I think, misbehaved a little bit. So, they do starve to death sometimes, and also they move closer to where there's hyenas, try to scavenge from hyenas, they end up being killed. So they have very hard lives. Janet, you asked me when was the little cub last seen. My colleague David saw it yesterday morning. It was yesterday morning. The warden told me that he's seen it today. I still have to see it to put it in my daily database chat and say that I've seen them, because we do that so that we can follow up on when and what they were doing. And these are statistics that we keep to. It was last morning that we saw them. I have not seen them. Oh, that is Limpy. That is Limpy. Actually, yesterday, somebody asked me about that limp that Limpy has got. Surprisingly, it does disappear after she tries to walk a little bit. And whoever asked me if she had arthritis. I was reading about it, and also I was thinking about it, and I think she might have arthritis. She might have a fracture that never healed from a very early age, and so it developed into arthritis, and very much like arthritis, in the first few seconds or minutes of walking can be very difficult. Then when you start working on it, it becomes okay. I think she might have arthritis, but these are things that we monitor, and we'll be able to tell you if she actually got arthritis. Okay, over there, I think Limpy has offered some milk, and they're cubs of different ages. You can tell the one to the right is very big. These are things that also, it's very nice that you observe, and you see it with your own eyes, so that you believe us when we tell you they cross-suckle each other's young. Alice, thank you for a very good question. And actually, I haven't had that question for a very long time. You asked me if females would gang up to defend their own cubs. Yes. And amazingly, I've witnessed where a pride of lions that I used to follow some years back, where two males appeared, and there were three of them. Two of the three had cubs, and surprisingly, she offered herself. She false mated with one of the males, while the two lionesses, took off with the cubs as much as possible. They, carried them long distances, while the other female, mated with the males, and she, led them in the wrong direction. So they'll gang up and actually provide themselves to, protect the young ones. Also, I have seen, lionesses ganging up and beating up a male. He was beaten so badly, that guy, I felt sorry for him. There were about 9 lionesses and 1 male, so you can tell he had no chance. So they do gang up to protect the young ones. That maternal instincts, when they have to protect the young one, is very, very strong. Even for me, I would prefer to come across a lone lion than, a pride of lions with young ones. So I hope, I've answered your question. Yeah. Giraffe Girl, you ask if we can change Limpy's name. I don't know about that, because it's a character that has stuck, and she actually portrays that name. She carries that name with her. She limps. I don't know, what's your suggestion? There is going to be a very big fight between James and the other guides, and David and I. There's an artist called Limpy. I didn't hear the other name. Suggestion. Okay, just put it on our hashtag SafariLive. They'll pass it over to me. It's going to be a big fight between David, James, and the other guides, and me, and our managers, because sometimes these characters, we've given them names. I don't think it's gonna succeed. So it's something that I can just suggest. But to me, it's going to be very difficult. And I don't know how to start, when I start telling my fellow guides that, our viewers want us to change Limpy's name. They're going to be, what? Anyway, what am I to say anything? Let's discuss this over time. I have lots of things to do, in the next coming weeks and decisions. But I think most of them might not happen. Okay, I think the best suggestion would be on hashtag SafariLive, drop in your name, and let's see at the end of the show what we can change it. You might succeed. This is like, becoming politics now. Okay, hashtag SafariLive, drop in your, drop in your name, what you'd like to change it to. Must be very interesting and must portray what she is. She's a fearless mother, a very successful mother, a very good buffalo hunter, but also she's got a limp. I don't know what you're gonna give her. Feel free to drop in your name. All right. Yeah, looks like these guys haven't decided to move on, but the other girl went away and she has disappeared on us to our left. The girls here are still very rested. That is Kinky. I can tell by the kink on the tail every time it moves. I hope nobody suggests we change Kinky's name. Okay, I'll be here. Let me give you a break. Let me take you to Steve, and let's him give us an update of what exactly is happening.
Thanks, Isaac. Yes, well, I suppose it's not the nicest name, but shame. It is quite characteristic. What else could we come up with? Names. Names of animals. Anyway.
Okay, gremlins again, they have attacked the communications. I hope Steve is okay. Okay, they're still here, they're sleeping. This morning, when I was looking for these guys, they were quite a distance from where I left them yesterday, and they have the advantage of the grass, and that's why it took me such a long time to find them. And over here, we're quite lucky, because we're not close, but where they are, it is short grass. So I'm very, very glad that, they're staying somewhere here. Their territory is quite one of the huge one. It is, if I estimate, depending on the distances, it is almost maybe 10 square kilometers, which is about 6 square miles. So it's huge, huge, huge. Spreads all the way that way towards Tanzanian border. All the way where you see there, that's where the border heads that way. So it's a long way. And in their territory, they have everything that they they want. They have cover, they have plenty of buffalo, which they are fond of killing, and there is enough area to roam. Christine, thank you for your beautiful question. You ask, if lions stop breeding at a certain age. According to my experience, before I go to the books, no, I don't think so. I think by the time they give birth to their last litter, they are too old to give birth, to another one. So they give birth all throughout their life. And I think towards the end, they become too old not to breed, but I don't think they reach menopause. If they were to stay on, they would continue breathing. Yeah, that's the little bit I know about, breeding and lions at old age. Look at those teeth. Very useful for a lion. Those three are busy, getting as much milk as possible. Sometimes it gets messy because, one teat is producing milk than the other and everybody wants it. Doc, you asked me which is much more dangerous to encounter. They are both dangerous. They are lions. But first of all, try not to encounter one because they are both lions. They are lions and lionesses. They are both dangerous. So don't encounter any. You have no chance, and especially if you have broken that safety distance. There is that distance that, a lioness would feel or an animal would feel comfortable to go away. There is that distance. It feels like if it turns and gives you its back, then you'll attack it. If you've broken that, then you have no chance with any. It's the same. Lion or lioness, very dangerous. Don't put yourself in that situation. Yes, it's one of those experiences that you don't wish to get. Okay, let me give you a different taste of wildlife. Let me take you back to Steve. I hope the gremlins don't attack his communication this time.
Well, a different taste of wildlife indeed. I'm sorry about my signal issue there before. I cannot explain it, but tech team is working on it. What I was saying before the gremlins rudely interrupted our conversation was we've been looking for the Princess Tlalamba, but, well, she hasn't been found, but that's okay. As you can probably see by the sky, you'll see Sensor can maybe frame the sky a little bit there for you. If I move up, you'll see that the clouds are moving in, and it's gotten a lot cooler. So we're going to make a little turn by the hyena den and see if maybe June or any of the other ladies are around with the youngsters. And I was trying to make head or tails of the screenshots, and also sat with Trish this afternoon trying to find out what that carcass was that June brought around. And looking at the foot could have been a jackal or a civet, but then when the carcass was being dragged away, the jawline here looked like it was possibly a jackal, but very hard to really say. But very, very interesting indeed. What would have killed the jackal? Probably a leopard. Leopards will kill them. And well, don't we know our hyena den, our hyena clan, they love to steal or to scavenge from the leopards of Djuma. But it was way too big for a genet. Most certainly way too big. Just having a look at the tracks. There's lots of hyena tracks around, as you can imagine. We are just up this road is the hyena den spa. Hello, Sinak. A very good question. Well, the question is quite, it needs a little bit more explanation than just before and after rain. Our rainy season brings vegetation. It brings thick, dense vegetation. But as the rains start to dissipate, the vegetation starts getting drier and the leaves start falling off, and it becomes easier to see animals. So in our dry season, most certainly much easier to see animals and find animals, because you can see them and the tracks are not disturbed by the rainfall. But the rain itself also can make the ground quite hard. So unless the animal's walking directly after the rain, it sometimes can be quite tricky to see those tracks, because the ground gets a little bit hard and it's like walking on almost a small sort of cemented floor. You don't really see any activity. So this time of year, yes indeed, very, very hard to find animals, but it's all about luck really. But in the dry season, the animals are much easier to find. They're also more localized around the watering points, because there's not rain puddles and pools all over the place, and the vegetation is also quite dry, so they have to make that dangerous journey to a watering hole once, twice a day. So definitely the dry season is easier time to find animals. It's much dustier, there's less insects, there's not many baby animals around, there's no flowers, there's no leaves, and you can't identify grasses, but you can definitely find animals. This is a great time of year to look at plants, to look at grasses, to look at flowers, baby animals, insects, dung beetles. So different time of year, different season. Ravinda, I haven't seen that genet. I've only seen it once. Just saw its back disappear, and we just drove past the hole while we were live a moment ago, and I had a little look inside and didn't see it. That might be its winter lodgings. It might have somewhere else to stay in the summer. I'm not sure. But Janet Jackson was not there a moment ago. She might have moved off. But that would be wonderful to see, especially if she has some kittens. You call them kittens? Baby Janets? Genetlets. I don't know what a baby genet is called. I've never seen one. I think they will be adorable. Don't you think? Adorable? Anyone out there seen a baby genet before? I have never seen one. I've only seen adults or sub-adults. I think they're very well hidden in the early stages. So we are on our southern fire break. You can hear a woodland kingfisher shouting up here. But we can't see him. He's right up in the top of that torchwood tree. He's competing over something up there, squabbling. Okay, well, we're almost there. It's definitely cooled down a lot. Senzo's quite happy with the temperature this afternoon. He's having a nice, comfortable drive on the back, aren't you, Senz? Okay, well, we're about to turn right into the den site. Are we going to be fortunate? Oh, I can hear one. I just heard a hyena calling there. Yes, there's a hyena active. Let's go in. Someone's calling. Who is it calling? Corky. Oopsie, there is my road. Sorry, I just got to make sure I don't hit my aerial on this tree behind here. I heard a hyena. You probably didn't hear that. It was just a bit too low. And there we go. Yes, there's two adults here. Hello. And two puppies, kittens, cubs. I'm very confused. Look at those teeth. How excited they are. Now that is Corky making all the noise. I'm guessing that that's June. That's lying down. Hello, Mama. Why are you making so much noise? See, Corky's got that funny little thing on the bottom of her left ear as well. Makes it easy to identify. And the two of the newest members are probably busy suckling there. That's why June hasn't gotten up and said, let me demonstrate to you, which is what I think Corky was expecting. But then she noticed that her youngsters were busy suckling, so all she did was bare her teeth. Bob, they do indeed want to come out. They were both busy suckling before. You can see the one that's by June's belly there has got the prime position. She's tucked up in underneath the belly, and the other one is got to have to do, or what's the word? Have to sort of just enjoy second place. But the noises Corky was making was that soft sort of contact call, and maybe she's looking for her naughty little son. Maybe he's gone off gallivanting with the other two naughty hyena from last night that were set on eating my shoe. Hello, Willie. That's a very good question. For example, I've got a dangerous game or potentially dangerous game logbook, which we use for logging any encounters on foot. The book is designed for logging the hours, the route, and descriptions. And if any incident happens on the walk, for example, if there is an encounter, if there's a situation, how it was dealt with, even if you happen to walk along and find an animal that moves off, there's no negative behavior. It's important to log all of those things for your mentor down the line to have a look. And in the book, it is definitely there if you encounter a group of hyena on foot. It is one of the species you can put down as a potentially dangerous animal. Individually, no. But if you encounter a clan of hyena on the hunt, it is something that you can write in the book. I've never done it. I'll tell you why. Because you also are able to log an ostrich if you encounter one on foot. But I've never logged an ostrich either. I don't think I ever want to encounter an ostrich on foot. They scare the life out of me. But I don't ever want to be that one person who's got an ostrich in their dangerous game logbook. And the same with the clan of hyena. I don't think they're dangerous, but you know, if there's something wrong with you, if you happen to be injured, you've got a bit of a limp, or maybe a small child out in the wilderness, most certainly a group of hyena would be dangerous. Craig, the cubs are not even a month, maybe a month and a half. They are very, very young, very, very young. They're still completely black in color. And look at that little foot. So they are very, very young. Plonk and his other cousins are about 5.5 now, and they are much bigger, and they're full of spots. So from the 3.5, 4 month sort of period, they normally got quite a black upper body, and their bottom starts getting quite spotted. But anywhere from the day they're born till up about 3.5 months, they are still black in color. So these guys are anywhere from between a month and 2 months, but I wouldn't say close to 2 months. I'd say less. So 1.5 months at the most. But look at that little foot. Isn't that just so cute? Hello, June. You weren't here last night when we were here with your little youngsters. They were very interested in playing with us, running around, learning naughty habits from the others. Hello, Ian, a new viewer. Welcome to the show. That's a really good question. Well, essentially in the hyena world, genitals are everything. Both the male and female have got what looks like a penis. The female has got a pseudo-penis, which means that she's got an enlarged clitoris that looks like a penis, even though it is not one. And they actually give birth through that, which is why first-time hyena mums are often unsuccessful, because the youngsters have to pass through that very narrow channel. And so first-time hyena mums often suffocate the youngster on the way out. The second brood is often successful. And essentially, it's very hard to really understand why they both have a phallus and why they're constantly on show. But whenever hyenas walk around and greet each other, that's what they show each other. They show each other their most private parts. And when they're younger, I think they just have no control over it. So it's constantly erect and standing out. When you normally see females or even adult males walking around, it's not necessarily that enlarged or on display. but it is definitely there. But it makes it quite tricky to identify males and females. Oh, there we go. You can see the mouth part suckling, Sens, at the back there. Oh, that is too cute. There's the tongue and the lips full of milk. This is very special. So in the early stages, these feeding periods can go on for half an hour to as much as an hour and a half. Oh, there's another hyena coming at the back there. Who is that? Is that Corky again? No, it's not. It's another hyena altogether. I think it might be Ribbon. I'm starting to learn my hyenas. I'm going to identify this other one. You can stay there. I will see if I can identify this one coming around. Who are you? I've been trying to put some time into identifying these hyenas. I know many of you back home are very good at it. Okay. Well, the other hyena has disappeared into the bush, but it will pop out in a moment. We're going to stay right here. We are not going anywhere. And once again, let's take you up to the Masai Mara, to the eternal enemies of hyena.
Okay, welcome back. We're still here. And that is the last the last lion sleeping with one of the smallest cubs. They seems to be moving one by one. They are headed somewhere. They are on a mission. I will be following them shortly, and hopefully they can lead us to where they will all gather. That is one of Mitty's cubs. Beautiful. And this is it is that is Mitty's cub, the one that went for 5 days without food. Yeah, you can tell even when he stands close to the other, you will see that he is much smaller. The others have gone quite farther up. They're all walking in the long grass. So shortly I will be following them. Hopefully, they will lead me to where everybody is. They are disappearing in the long grass. What did you hear? Yeah, she suddenly stood up like she had something. Yeah, Lulu, you suggest name, is it your name Lulu, Elephantastic? Is that the name you want? I've opened my office here. I have a pen and I have a pen and paper now. And who else is suggesting another name? Let's see. What's the other name that we have? The office is open. I can receive the names, and then we'll forward them and lobby on what. Do you say loop? Okay. Okay, those are two. Lulu, you say Elephantastic, and Alice, you say Vicky. Alice and Vicky, you say loop. What is the third name? Lou, okay. You say Lou, okay. We have that one down. Elephantastic, you say Lulu, okay. And who else has got a name? I have three names. Two names from three people. Do we have another suggestion? LL, like LL Bean or LL Cool J, something like that. Okay, that is the third one. And I am suggesting Limpy. Isaac is saying yes. Auntie, yes, and Isaac is saying Limpy. I'm still standing with it. What is the fifth one we're getting? We have Auntie saying LL, Alice and Vicky saying Lou, and Elephantastic saying Lulu. Okay. Okay, I do have very great suggestions. Surprisingly, most of them are starting with L. Actually, all of them. You say Elephantastic says Lulu. Alice and Vicky say Lou. Auntie say LL. And Isaac say Limpy. Okay, it's time for me to digest. Hopefully, we have more suggestions rolling. And then at the end of this show, maybe I will make a decision. I will make an executive decision on behalf of everybody, of my fellow guides. I will have to make an executive decision. So keep them rolling. And now they have moved, and which they are very mobile. So it's time to close my office. It only involves a notepad and a pen and wildlife, and then move on and follow these creatures and see where they're taking us. They have gone behind, the vehicle. I can see too quite a long way, and it's getting dark. So I'm gonna close the office and then assemble myself to leave. Marius, you asked me if those little guys would hurt someone. When I say guys, I mean the cubs. Definitely, they will hurt you. I don't know if you ever, cornered a bird. When I say a bird, I mean a bird with a B-I-R-D, bird, flying one. You see how it bites you? I don't know if you've ever, abused a cat, a very small one, and so how it scratched you. So you can imagine a wild cat, like a lion, they will hurt you. They will bite you, and they will scratch you. And it's a scratch that you don't want to get, because it can get very infected. Yeah, so, yeah, they will hurt you. We are reversing, trying to get out of this area and see where they've gone. Sometimes they make it very easy for us, and sometimes they make it very hard. Like right now, it's not easy, but what to do? I'll have to follow them. They've gone up this way. Hopefully it's all okay. No holes on the ground. Keep those names rolling. I have 4 names. I have Lou, LL, and Lou, LL, and what else? What's the other one? There was another one. So keep the names coming. I might get called and be told, agree to the names. But yeah, keep them coming. I'm heading up towards where I saw some heading. Hopefully we'll be able to locate them for you and see what they're doing and why they moved. Maybe they had stashed the leftovers of what they killed yesterday, and we'll be able to share it with you. Is that Bill? How long do cubs stay with their moms? Females, they can stay all their lives, and males will split at the age of about 2.5 years. That is from experience, that's what happens. It's quite dark, and it's getting dark, so hopefully I did see them somewhere up there, so that's where I'm driving. Hopefully all of them will get there soon, and we can get to see exactly why they left that beautiful spot. See, the grass is very, very high. Even the truck is almost not there. Let me switch on my lights. Yes, the grass is very high. No wonder we couldn't tell how many cubs there were this morning. I only thought I could see 5, but they actually, maybe all of them are there. Yeah, this is where you lose the truck. You don't know what it is. Yeah. Okay, while I struggle to get out of this grass and find you these beautiful creatures, just to warn you or to tell you that we are going to be joined by children on another session. So don't go anywhere. Stay put, because there might be more excitement. And also, it is nice to share these beautiful things with everybody. So don't go anywhere.
Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome again to South Africa. A very warm welcome to the Children's National Hospital, in Washington, and the Goddard School, Rivers Bend. You are both been on our show before, and we bid you a very warm welcome this evening. Don't forget, you can send any questions and comments through that you have with your teacher or those people in attendance with you. We'd love to hear from you. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Senzo on camera, and what we have got for you over here is the Djuma Den, with two of the newest members of the clan who are just... What's wrong, Sense? There is a hyena behind me. This is Comet. I've been informed by some of the viewers who know the show very well. Thank you to them. It's the clan male. It possibly might even be the father of the little cubs that we have on the left here. But let's go back to them, Sens. They're far cuter than he is. He's a male. He's pretty, but that is just all-encompassing cuteness right there. These two youngsters are only about a month or so old. They're very young. And that is June, who is the mum. And she is a first-time mum. These are her first babies. And she's doing such a good job. Look at her. She's allowing them to use her as a jumping castle, as a jungle gym, as they sit on her face. And she's been giving them a lick before when you came to us. Hello, Delasia. You want to know how tall a giraffe is? Well, a giraffe can get up to about 16, 17 feet in height. Isn't that incredible? 17, 16 feet. I think maybe even 18 feet. It's incredible height. We do have giraffe around. There's not that many of them down here in Djuma at the moment, but we'll be going up to the Masai Mara in a little bit, where no doubt there might be some giraffe to be seen on the open plains. But these little youngsters are very close to home. This big mound that we see on the left is a big termite mound, and the youngsters are born inside there, and they basically spend most of the time inside for their safety. Georgia, you want to know how old these babies are, and they're not, I wouldn't say they're more than a month and a half old. So they're very, very young, maybe even a month. We've only seen them for about 2.5 weeks now. We stumbled across this den, thankfully. We were following a male leopard, and the Djuma den, who used to be somewhere else in our property, they disappeared for a period of time, and we were very, very grateful when they just materialized back right here, and we have been very blessed with their activity for some time. You'll see those two youngsters are running now because that male has decided to come around the corner, and he's probably just very interested in coming to say hello. Amari, we do name the animals. A lot of the animals have got names purely so that we can identify them, and we use them for character-based stuff. There we go. She's going to go chase him away. Do you see that? He's trying to sneak around. Hyenas are very inquisitive about young babies, and so she's realized that he wants to come a bit close to her youngsters, and males don't have the same status in the clan that females do. So she is definitely in charge, and she's going to tell him what she thinks. But yes, lots of the animals have got names. That's Comet over there, hidden behind the bushes, and the other one was June. Let's go around, shall we, Sands? Let's go around the other side and have a look if we can see some more. Okay, well, very good. While we try and get another view of these very cute hyena, I'm not the only one out on safari. We've also got Trishala, and she has got beautiful big elephants.
Hello and welcome, boys and girls. So nice to have you on board with us. And we have some wonderful elephants with us, right, Sha? We have a mummy and some babies, just like you youngsters. There she's, Kostas. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. And look at her two little ones. Look at her two little ones rushing behind her. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? Now they're just eating, and you see this tiniest one can still fit under Mum. Now you're seeing bits of our vehicle behind you, and that's okay. Just be aware of it. But here we have Mum trying to eat. Delante would like to know what elephants eat. Elephants like to eat grass, especially if it's new and fresh and juicy. And then they also like to eat leaves of plants and fruits. They like a special fruit called a marula that we get here in Africa. And they also like the bark of trees. Now, elephants are very much like humans in that if you have your favorite packet of M&Ms, then you'll eat your favorite colors first. And elephants are like that too. They'll eat their favorite types of food first, which are the grasses and the fruits, and then they'll eat their least favorite types of food or the least favorite colors last. So they leave the bark and all of that for last. Oh, sorry, BK, these two little ones are right here. Brian would like to know how big elephants get. Well, a big male elephant can be about 6 tons, 6,000 kgs, and that's huge, that's massive. Whereas a big cow or female can be about 3,000 kgs or 3 tons. Now look at this little one. This little one is being fearless, and he's trying to say to us, I'm big and strong, I'm big and strong. But he's just behind Mum. Well, these little babies have moved behind us, and in the meantime, let's go from our little babies to other little babies that Steve has.
Welcome back. Well, this beautiful protective mother chased off that male, and now she's moved back to where she was, and her youngsters, just for the moment, disappeared back into the hole. But here they come again. They're very brave when Mum's around. Very, very brave indeed. And they are very cute. Now, for those of you who have never seen a hyena before, they do eat meat, and they are very efficient hunters. And they'll also steal meat from other animals. Fad, you want to know how long they take care of their youngsters for? Well, these youngsters will stay in the den for minimum 8 months. They might move from one den to another, but for 8 months they are pretty much bound to the den. Slowly but surely, from 8 months to a year, they might start following Mum away for the food. If you've got the dominant female, which June is not a dominant female, her youngsters are going to have to follow her earlier than, for example, the queen of the den, Corky, because Corky will be able to bring food back at some stage because she is the queen, and her youngster will be able to eat that. But if June brought food back, it would just get eaten by the other hyenas. So essentially, these youngsters will have to follow her at an earlier age. Felicity, you want to know how fast they can run? Now, I'm going to try and work it out for you in miles per hour. Hyenas aren't as fast as leopards or lions, but they're regarded as stamina runners. They can run marathons. They're very, very good at running long distances. So I'm probably going to guess that they can run at about maybe 35 to 40 miles an hour, somewhere around there, but over a very long distance. Now, that is incredibly fast for an animal. I mean, leopards and lions can probably charge at about 40, 45 miles an hour, but hyena can probably maintain 35 to about 40 over a long distance, which is quite incredible for these animals. And that is how they catch their food. They chase their food and they keep running and running until the animal gets too tired to run any further. Lillian, these are indeed the laughing hyenas, also known as the spotted hyenas. And the reason they get that name is when they get very excited, especially when there's food around and they've maybe chased lions off of some food or even a leopard and there's more than one hyena. They come in and they cackle. I can't do it very well. Please don't ask me to do that again. But, there we go. This one is looking for some of Mum's milk. There we go. That is the best spot to be if you are a hyena cub. Right there underneath Mum's tummy. She's going to tuck herself in there nicely. There we go. Jonathan, hyenas are actually not related to dogs at all. They're more closely related to a cat, but actually they are more closely related to what we call civets. Now, a hyena evolved a very, very long time ago, and so their strategies and design out on the plains is quite interesting. So they are very, very different from cats and dogs. They are all on their own when it comes to identification, but I'll show you a civet so you have an idea. If you just give me a moment to find it. There we go. Here's a civet. Almost looks like a raccoon over here. So there's a civet. So they reckon that the closest relative to a hyena is in fact a civet. And that's because they both have a sort of pouch by their bum that they use for leaving a very dark sort of smelly paste on the ground or on branches when they move past, which they use for scent marking and demarcating the areas where they say this is my territory. But anyway, let's go back over to them. We've got one is busy suckling, and the other one is sharpening its teeth by eating a stick on the right of the den there. Look at that. That stick is having it. And I bet you that stick wishes it wasn't there. Not right there on the hyena den. It's going to get eaten every day, isn't it? Well, these are very cute youngsters. We're going to stay here. This is the best time of day to spend around hyenas, especially at the den as the sun is setting. But while we do that, let's go back over to Trish, who's still with her elephants.
The elephants have been quite busy. They've all been chomping down on the lush grass. Remember, it's summertime here in Africa, in South Africa, and there have been lots of rains. And when there's lots of rain, it means that everything gets to grow nice and juicy. And that's exactly what the elephants like. They like nice, juicy plants. You can see they're flapping their ears as they eat because they're trying to cool down. Owen would like to know what elephants have long trunks. All elephants have long trunks, Owen, and they use their long trunk to pick things off the ground and to move things about. And what the trunk is if you touch your nose and then you touch your upper lip here where you have a moustache or where you can draw a moustache and you bring that together like that, that's what a trunk is. It goes together like that and then it grows out. And that's exactly what their trunk is. So they can smell through their trunk and they can take things with their trunk just like this and put it into their mouths. So the trunk is almost like an extra hand, and it has two little finger-like things at the end, and they use that to pick fruits up and eat them. In fact, I have one of their favorite fruits with me, and it's so tasty, but you can't tell the elephants, because if you tell the elephants, they'll want to come take the fruit. This is the fruit right here. It's called a marula. It's very tasty. Harper would like to know what elephants have short tails. Well, if you can look at these elephants' tails, can we look at them, BK? You see that they have quite long tails. Can you see that? Most elephants don't have short tails unless the tail has been hurt or broken in some way. Then the tail gets short. But they use the tail to move around and swish about to chase off any flies that hang around. And you can see the bigger elephant has a bigger tail, and there she goes, swish, swish, side to side. And when she moves her tail like that, it's a lot like when your dog wags his or her tail, and it lets you know that the dog is happy and comfortable, and that's exactly the same in the elephants. Jamison would like to know if all elephants grow tusks. Well, Jamison, you do have elephants that are tuskless or with no tusks, and those types of elephants are the same species, so they're all the same types of elephants, but some have tusks and some don't. Most elephants have tusks, but because sometimes you'll get one or two animals that don't have tusks, and then those animals have babies, then their babies don't have tusks. So it's not a bad thing. It's not as if something happens to the tusks. It just means that they're born that way. Some elephants are like that, and that's okay. They use their tusks to fight one another sometimes, and they also use it to break down trees and to dig up in the ground. So elephants that don't have tusks are not as good as those things, but it doesn't mean that they can't do those things, because remember, they have that big trunk with the finger-like ends, so they can pick things up and dig, and they also dig with their toenails on their feet. So just if they don't have tusks doesn't mean that they won't be able to survive. And that was a lovely question, Jamison. Thank you. I think even the elephants liked that question. There you can see chomp, 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 eating away. It's their favorite thing to do, and they have these big ears flapping to cool down. So I'm going to sit with them because there's so much to talk about elephants, and get your questions ready. In the meantime, let's go over to Steve and more cubs.
Thank you, Trish. Well, we are still with our beautiful little hyenas, and there's Mum holding little baby right there in the necessary spot, the best place to be, nice and comfortable underneath Mum, the best place to secure and to get your dinner. And normally what we see after these youngsters have fed on a bit of milk, they get very excited and they start running all over the place. This one was just climbing on top of its sibling a moment ago and then fell down the hill. It was so funny. Sad hyenas mainly eat meat. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Hello, Mama. They mainly eat meat, but what they're very good at eating as well is bones and also very hard skin left over. Oh, and each other's feet. They also like eating each other's feet and sticking their noses where they shouldn't. Mum's foot. Does Mum's foot taste any better than my sister's foot? So they mainly feed on that. I've never known of hyenas to feed on any form of fruits or anything like that. Like their counterpart, the brown hyena, is known to feed on lots of other foods. But spotted hyena, or the laughing hyena, is well known for only feeding on meat, bones, and animal hide. Corey, my favorite animal on safari is the fearsome honey badger, which I will show you in a moment. It is quite similarly related as well to the civet. It is a ferocious animal that we find out here. It's not the biggest of the animals in the animal kingdom, but they definitely have the biggest attitude, and they are the most sort of dominating. I've even seen prides of lion running away from a honey badger because they aren't scared of anybody. They aren't scared of anybody. Here he is. Only gets up to about 25 to 30 pounds in weight and can chase away a male lion that weighs 500 pounds. So that is all attitude. You see, it's black and white. And we do see them on safari. Definitely the most awesome animal to see. And they are an omnivore, which means they'll feed on everything from fruits to insects, snakes. They love honey, as the name honey badger implies. And they'll also catch birds and also feed on meat and rodents that they can catch. But they're not really able to catch bigger animals. Lots of small animals and lizards as well. Nicole, hyenas have got many, many ways of making noise, but they do not sing as well as they do in the Lion King. They make lots of whooping sounds, many different types of whooping sounds, some to travel long distance to attract their friends, to go on a hunting party. Some of them are to attract their friends to come and help them fight a lion, and some of them are just soft contact calls when they're looking to get their babies to come and drink some milk. But no, they don't sing as beautifully as they do on the TV show, that's for sure. But here now you can see the second one. He now wants some milk as well. And competition starts very early for hyenas, and one will always dominate the other one, because normally a hyena mum will have two babies, and so one will always be stronger and more dominant than the other one. So the one on the left is lying in the perfect position. The other one will try and also suckle, but then she'll have to lie downhill in not the most comfortable spot. Annalie, I reckon honey badgers and skunks definitely come from a very similar sort of background. You saw by the colors, the black and the white. What those colors mean is called aposematic coloration. I know that's a very big word, but aposematic basically means leave me alone colors. So black and white colors are normally for animals that are active at the night time, so that predators such as lions and leopards can see them and go, oh, I don't like that animal. It's got a very bad smell. And we know skunks have a very bad smell. Honey badgers do as well. And so definitely they are coming from a very similar sort of family. And the coloration is to warn other animals not to attack them. And now it's playtime. I told you after the milk, they're going to have a little bit of a dominance display. Mum has had enough. She's stood up. She's probably going to get ready to go out on her nightly forage for some food. And the youngsters will be safe in the hole in the ground. They won't stick around outside for very long. Natalia, hyenas love to go and sit in little pools of water. I've never seen them actually swimming across a water hole, but they definitely like to go and sit in the water, especially on very hot days, where they submerge themselves. And just on the other side here, where they're going at the moment, there's a little puddle over there that many times we've come and we found one, sometimes two, of the hyenas sitting in what we call their little spa, because this is the hyena resort, their new hotel, and they've got their little pool over there, which we're going to go and have a look at now, because the hyenas seem to have moved off. Maybe Mum is going to go have a little drink. Maybe she's going to go have a little swim. But anyway, while we go and let's have a look. There's a little bit of behavior going to happen with these two over here. There you can see June is the female and the male is on the right. Let's see what behavior happens between these two, because interaction around the den site is always very interesting. Before we go over to Trish, Faith, if you don't mind, let's just have a little look and see if the male... Oh, there we go. There we go. She just chased him. Let's see if he's going to be submissive. She's going to lie down. And he's going to have to come and say hello. Lick her on the face. Whispering sweet nothings in her ear. Very interesting behavior around the den. She doesn't want him anywhere near her babies, but he's allowed to come and say hello to her. He's quite shy, though. That's what they do. They like to smell each other It's all about smells in the hyena world. But anyway, he's going to move off now. I think he's realized he's not welcome here. But while we stay with these hyena for another few moments, let's go over to Trish, who is still with an animal who absolutely loves to swim.
I still have my elephants, and they have come down to the watering hole, and I was really hoping that they would splash around for you because it's a really, really fun sight. Now, we were speaking about the tusks, and I was telling you how all these African elephants have tusks, and I think that Jameson, was it you that asked the question? And we were speaking about the tusks, and I said that most elephants do have tusks, and that's true for the Asian elephant too, and maybe that's the one you were thinking about, where you can't see the tusks very well. But what those are actually, they have very small tusks called tushes. Delasia has a very interesting question. She asks, do elephants get into arguments with other elephants? Sometimes you have, most of the time elephants are nice families and they get along really well. We have some more down here. But then other times they may not like certain things. But it's not the same as humans, where they may not like the way you said this or the way you said that. But it's more like, I don't like how you stepped on my foot, or that you grabbed my trunk, or something like that. And it usually doesn't last very long. But males will fight each other, especially if they want to make babies. Then they need a female, they need a mummy. So sometimes they'll fight over which mummy they want. And they use their big tusks to do that. But other than that, they live in very calm, relaxed groups of mums and babies, and the males on its own. Bella wants to know how different species of animals communicate with each other. Oh, let me just make sure that these two here are fine. There, they're lifting up their trunk to say hello. Say hello, everybody. Wave at them. Oh, they're trying to get up the bank. Hello. It's gonna be tough for them. It's quite steep, but they're trying anyway. So Bella asked that question. Can you hear them walking? Big steps, step, step. Huge feet that are taking a step. Look how careful she's being, because it's very steep up there. Now Bella was asking about communication in animals, and lots of animals communicate in lots of different ways. They will sometimes use a noise like a bark, or not a meow, but a roar. They'll communicate like that. And then some animals, like an elephant, will communicate with rumbles. They make big, deep rumbles that sounds like your stomach rumbling. And then those are all types of communication that you can hear with your ears. Then they have other types of communication, like smells. They can use smells to tell who's who, to tell whether this person is part of my family or not. They can use their nose to tell all that type of information. Ah, look. One's coming down to drink. Now you can also use things like touch. They'll use touch to feel one another. They'll use their trunks to feel one another. How cute is that? Now you see how they've used their trunk to suck up water like a straw, and now they're putting it into the mouth. Alexa wants to know if tusks are like teeth. That's exactly what they're like, Alexa. They are kind of teeth that have grown outwards. There's a certain type of teeth. If you look at your teeth, you have these pointy teeth just on the side of your mouth, and those pointy teeth is what these tusks are, but they've grown really, really big. So you were absolutely right. They are much like teeth. Now let's listen to them drink. You can hear them slurping up. Liliana wants to know why elephants walk so slowly. Well, they're very, very big, Liliana. So they have all this weight they have to carry, and they have to walk and put all that pressure. So they do it very slowly and very carefully. An elephant can run, though, and it can run faster than a human can if you're just casually running. I'm not talking Olympic sprinters here, but they can outrun a human even. But that's only in short bursts if they're very angry or very irritated. But most of the time they walk nice and slow like this. But that doesn't mean that they don't walk for long distances. You see how big they are and how long they are? One step can take a lot of space. Morgan wants to know how big is an elephant's poop. Is that what I heard, Morgan? Well, if you must know, they're about this big. About the size of my face. Probably a little bigger than your face, Morgan. And it's big and round, and it's full of plants. So you can even poke through it. It's quite planty, so it's not very disgusting, which is because they eat so much and then they poo so much as well. So their poo is full of plants and other bits, and a lot of the time they're full of the marulas too. Now they don't always chew their food very well. Oh, there's some more coming down there. And that's why it's so fibrous. It's rough. It's not fine like other animals. Oh, how pretty is that? When you see the sun is starting to set and you have that light in the water and you have all the elephants coming down now. Very, very pretty. Oh, look at that. That little baby is chasing the geese. Brian asks, which animal has the toughest skin? Well, that's a tough question. Elephants have this type of thick, wrinkly skin, and they have tough hairs on them as well. So they're definitely a contender. And then they also get the honey badger. The honey badger has really, really thick skin. And sometimes if an animal grabs onto it, it'll only grab their skin. So it won't actually grab the animal, and that's one of its defenses. So I would say it's between those two. Then you also have animals, and those are mammals, but you have animals like crocodiles who have really, really tough skin. Their skin has changed over millions of years to become scales. You've seen the scales, but that's actually their skin. And now look how sweet that is. So lots of animals have tough skin because remember, it's hard out here. They have to go through lots of times of heat and cold. So they have tough, tough skin. Tori wants to know if elephants are dangerous. Elephants can be very, very dangerous, or they have the potential to be dangerous. And potential means that they can be dangerous, but they're not always dangerous. And I'm going to tell you some stories about them now. I'm just going to drive because I am in some people's way. We don't want to be in people's way, so let me just drive a little bit, and I'm going to meet up with those elephants on that side. And we were speaking about whether elephants can be dangerous. So elephants are really big, like I said to you, and sometimes they can be even bigger than your own car. And you have to be careful because if they feel threatened, then they might just run towards you. And if you think about yourself, you'll think you're not a bad person, you won't hit anybody else. But imagine if you But maybe if somebody tries to threaten you or you feel cornered, then you might react badly, and elephants are like that. Now you would have seen that my color has changed on your screen, and that is because we've changed into something called infrared. And that means that we can see in the dark now, and we can see clearly, because when the light goes very low, then we can't see, it gets too dark. So when we go into infrared, it means that we can see the animals clearly, and the animals are not disturbed by the artificial light. Sometimes the animals' eyes are sensitive and they don't like to be disturbed by the light, and so our IR makes sure that they don't get disturbed at all. Now we have, let's just stop here and watch. So we have the elephants in the back, all the way there. There we go. And we have what's called impala in front of us here, and they're a type of antelope. They look a lot like deers, don't you think? Major wants to know where the fruit for the animals are. Oh, I just heard a rumble. Well, there's fruits in all of these, or most of these trees at the tops here. If you look at the top of the tree, there's usually little bits of fruit hanging about, and the fruit is so tasty that even humans pick them up and we eat them, and we make jam out of them and juice out of them because they're really, really tasty. And now I am in the people's way again, so let me move one more time. Sorry, BK. I'm just gonna move one more time out of here. Maybe I'll just go in front like this. There we go. Now you can see all the impala running by, and I'm waiting for these elephants to actually pass us, and they're going to pass us just now on the side. Julie wants to know which animal eats the most. Well, you're basically looking at them. The elephants, not these ones, these are the impalas, but the elephants there that are walking across right now, they eat a lot. They eat so much, and they even poo very much, more than any other animal that I know. They'll eat all the time, maybe even like 16 hours of the day they'll spend eating, and they will even eat about 300 kgs, not 3,000 kgs, that's very much. Very, very much. And they even can drink about 150 liters. Morgan wants to know what the difference between an impala and a springbok is. Well, Morgan, for one, we don't really get springbok in this area. We get springbok in other areas, but not so much here. And they're both very similar in that they both are antelopes. And that means they have hooves, and they look very deer-like, and they have horns, but they have different markings. Springbok has very clear black and white markings on the flank and the face, and the impala don't have those type of markings. Instead, they have lighter colors going up into darker colors. The horns are a little bit different as well, and they eat about the same thing almost. So in a lot of ways, they're quite similar. And you can see why they're quite similar. They look very similar, right? But in fact, they're just a different type of species of antelope. Can you hear the bird? There's two birds calling that I can hear. The one that's going, ha ha ha. There we go, that one. That one is a woodland kingfisher. And it also goes chip, chirr. You'll hear it just now. There we go. They're on cue today. Ooh, what was that? That was a big scream. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We've got a few baboons hanging about you, and there's even a little baby. Very cute. So everyone's out because it's nice and cool now. And everyone thinks it's time to socialize and be happy and be with your family and play a little bit. Just like the elephants did, just like the impala did, and now so are the baboons. But soon they will go to bed. In fact, not far from now. In the meantime, I'm going to sit here with them, and then you're going to go over to the Masai Mara and see some sleepy lions.
Okay, for those who are joining us, we have lion here for you, and it's a very, very sleepy. It is part of a few lions that we know. Hello everyone, I know it's very late, but welcome. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Archie, and we have some lions for you. If in case you have any questions, please do ask me. Let me take you back to the sleeping lion. It's been sleeping here for quite a while. And it is very full. Looks like it had a good meal last night. I'm hoping that it can put its head up so that we can see her face, and you can see how much it has eaten. A fully grown lion will eat up to 80 pounds of food in one sitting. Justin, you asked me how loud is a lion roar. It can be heard about 5 kilometers, that is around 3 miles. That's very, very loud, and you don't want to be very close when it's roaring. I have been, and you feel like the earth is trembling and the vehicle is moving. Yes, that's how loud it is. I was going to tell you how much they eat. They eat about 80 pounds of meat in one sitting. Mackenzie, right now, right here, this is the only one I see. There are some others that are a bit in the bushes, but I do have around maybe 3 or 4. But in this area there to my right, further up, over there, we can't see them. We can only hear some noises, and I think maybe they're eating something. You might hear it, but yeah, we won't go there. We'll leave them to do what they're doing. Yes, so I do have about 4 of them around this area, but this is the only one that I can get close to. Unless the others appear for us, then we'll be able to see. I'm actually being very careful and looking behind me so that one doesn't stick behind me. Oh, here, look at this. Oh, we have something we can share with you. I'll just dodge over here. You see them? There's some jackals. We have some jackals. Yeah, there they are. Can you see them? Yeah, somewhere there. There. Yeah, there's a jackal there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. It might move. Yeah, there. Yeah, that's a silver-backed, or you can see the eyes, alien-like, very scary. Yeah. Yeah, that is a jackal there. That is a jackal. Excellent. Yes. Yeah, that is another predator that we get in the Mara, and it is not always seen every day. So it's very nice to see it. And they're here because I think the lion are feeding, so they are wanting to eat the scraps. I don't know if you can see it. Michael, you asked me about I'm a tour guide. I didn't get the rest, but yes, I'm a presenter and also a guide, and this is what I've done all my life. Yes, and this, I love it. I love it. Yes, he's still sleeping over there. Yes. Okay. Yes, you say I'm scared? No, I'm not scared. You can do this if you're scared. Anyway, from everybody, from Steve, Trishala, from my producers, my directors, it's been a great pleasure having you. Hope you'll join us someday in the day and we can show you the animals in the day. And from me and my cameraman Achi, who does the magic, goodbye and see you again next time. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye.